Good morning, everybody. Schuyler Callihan here on Between the Ears, and we are going to talk about the new Cats. That is the two new transfer defensive backs into the West Virginia football program, both coming from Northwestern. That is Jahim Joseph and Garnett Hollis Jr. I think this is going to be a really good momentum boost going into spring ball, having that secondary starting to become more filled out. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before we do, make sure you hit the subscribe button here on YouTube, or if you're watching at our site, Mountaineers Now, go over to the YouTube page and hit that subscribe button. Give us a like, and then also follow on X as well at the same handle. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. Garnett Hollis, Jahim Joseph. What do these two guys mean, and what can we expect from them? So let's start with Jaheim. Jahim Joseph, a little on the smaller side, about 5'9", 5'10", hanging around 200 some pounds. He's probably going to be, if I had to guess right now, he's probably playing the spear position. But I could see them using him in several different ways. He has played corner before, played cornerback in high school. So he's kind of got that flexibility like Marcus Floyd had, to where you can move him at several different spots, and I think that they'll use that versatility to their advantage. He's kind of a late bloomer. He didn't really play a whole lot in his first few years at Northwestern. He really didn't make much of an impact when he was on the field. And then this past year, he started to show up and make some plays. And personally, I think this is now this isn't the same position, of course. He's going to be playing safety, but it's kind of a similar path in some ways to Beanie Bishop. Maybe not exactly, because Beanie did have some success at Western Kentucky before going to Minnesota, where he lost playing time. Here, it's kind of the reverse, where he didn't get the playing time, then he gets it in 2023, maybe setting up a big year in 2024. But this kid's overlooked. I think he brings a toughness, a physicality to him that fans are going to like. Again, he's small, but he packs a punch. And I think he's going to add a lot of value in that back end because of how he can move around and play different spots. As far as Garnett Hollis Jr. is concerned, this is a hell of a pickup. Hell of a pickup. Big, long. Can't really remember the last time that West Virginia's had this type of length at cornerback. He's about 6'2" ish, 200 plus pounds. This is your type of guy that you want in the Big 12 defending the number one guy. He's going to be very key in man coverage. I think that by getting Hollis, you can expect more man coverage. The last 2 years, really, Jordan Leslie has had to go through a zone coverage or a drop zone coverage where, they played it well, especially with Beanie Bishop, but at times, namely the Oklahoma game, when they did go to man, wasn't that great. Now you have that flexibility to where teams just aren't going to start carving you up because they could pick out the soft spot in the zone coverage. You got man coverage now where your guy is going to have to beat our guy, and that's just how it's going to go. And that also will free up more blitzers. It'll just present a different picture for quarterbacks, and it's going to open up more things in the back end, especially because you have Aubrey Burks coming back. You have some other guys coming back on the other side at cornerback, like Montre Miller, who we really didn't get to see much of. Assuming he gets that waiver, he'll be back. If not, you have Aiden Garnes and or TJ Crandall on that side. So you're going to have some depth pieces on that side of the ball. And I think this is probably the deepest secondary potentially. Now, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, obviously, but this is potentially the deepest secondary that Jordan Leslie is going to have to work with. And when you have that many options and you have that many, I wouldn't say high end, but you have more quality options, again, it's going to open things up for what he can do with that front seven. When you have a guy like Ty French who can get after the passer, you have Sean Martin, who you expect to take another step this year. it's going to make things a lot more interesting. So Hollis, I mean, he's been a 2-year starter, big time producer. I think he's going to have a chance to not only make a name for himself here, but I think he's going to have a chance to play his way into the NFL draft in 2025. He has got the size, he's got the traits. He's going to be somebody that you're going to want to watch. I think he's got a chance to be one of the biggest impact transfers in this class for WVU. For those of you that have probably watched previous episodes, you know I'm huge on Ty French. That's probably my number one guy, but Hollis is probably knocking on the door. So we'll see what West Virginia does here in the next transfer portal window. These guys were in the portal already, so the portal will reopen after spring. Well, actually, it'll open during spring ball, which is interesting. You would think that they'd wait until the end, but um, so more guys are coming. There will be more changes, which means with new additions, there's going to have to be some subtractions. With the scholarship standing where they're at, they were over a couple of spots. I believe that's still technically the case. My math's correct in my head. I believe they're still over, maybe by one or two. But if not, you're still going to see departures. There's going to be guys that go through spring ball thinking that, hey, if I go through spring and have a good spring, I'm going to have a chance to compete for a job in the fall, or I'm going to have a chance to increase my role. And if that doesn't happen or doesn't look like it's going to happen, then those guys are going to bounce. And I don't blame those kids. I mean, if they get through spring ball, they have the end of spring meeting with Neil, and they find out what their projected role is going to be. They don't like it. Go ahead and move on. Gives West Virginia time to replace those guys through the portal, and then obviously anytime you get the high schoolers that come in, and you kind of have a better picture as to what their role may look like in year one, if any. So a lot of moving parts to this still, but Jahim Joseph, Garnett Hollis Jr. locked in, two Northwestern defensive backs that I think are going to have a pretty good impact on this West Virginia defense, and one that I believe could finish in the top half of the league. So that'll do it for me here today on Between the Ears. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button at Mountaineers Now. Give us a like and a follow on X at the same handle, and we'll be back tomorrow with another episode.